In part one, I showed you how the horrendous bug etching on this Porsche could be fixed with ordinary polishing methods. But unfortunately, it wasn't a complete success. So unfortunately this panel, we've had a real problem trying to remove the etching. I've polished an area, spent quite a long time polishing, taken a lot of clear coat off, and most of the etching's gone. I'd probably say it's still 30% left, which is not good enough. Hopefully you understand, if we were trying to take all the material down to that level, that'd be crazy. That I'm okay with. What I mean is if we had to take off about that amount, so if you looked at it as a percentage, probably about 20% of the clear, maybe less, then that's fine. So if you had a lot of defects that deep, when they're this deep, very, very deep, sort of, if this is a 60 micron panel, that's pretty much 30 microns, half the clear coat gone, that's silly. So we've got no choice but to really paint the bonnet or the hood. Now, we've got nothing to lose here, so let's try something experimental. So I've touched in with some clear coat. I mixed the clear coat up, precisely weighed first, stirred up, then applied, and then left to cure. Common sense would be just to rub this down and repaint it. I'd probably be all day just trying to touch it in. If you had one or two of these little dots and blobs, could be a stone chip, could be a bug splat, even a tiny little scratch, this method might save you a lot of time and hassle and maybe even a repaint. You're trying to get it as flat as possible, but you never do. And because the clear coat's got solvent in there, it's going to evaporate and shrink a little bit. I'd always just say, don't panic and allow it to be high. Doesn't matter how high, just drop it in there, let it cure, let it dry. Then you come along with a de-nibbing tool, and what you're actually doing is slowly slicing down the surface. And you're slicing and slicing each pass till you're very, very, very close to the original height of the clear coat. Then I switch to sandpaper. I then lightly sand the surface and polish. If done well, it is actually invisible. So in that case, I've decided to do a little square here, and that little square we're going to tackle. We've got nothing to lose really, because I am going to repaint this area in the end, or clear coat this, but let's try this little sort of hack. If this hack works, it might really help you. Stay tuned. We know we're getting serious when we're putting glasses on. So I have various tools for slicing down the clear coat. I'm going to choose one and I'll explain which one first and why, then I'm going to swap over to another one. I could use a piece of wood, KXK stick, sanding block. This is so raised, it's so high that I need to really slice off the top first. So what I'm going to go with is a curved edge. This curved edge means, depending on how I angle this, I can really pinpoint one area. So if I drag that over there backwards, there's only a tiny contact. If I use a straight edge, I could dig in on the corners. So I'm going to my preferred method is going to be, I'm going to use the curved side of this de-nibbing tool and start to slice down some of the touch-ins. So I've used just this small area here as I was slicing over, and what that's done gives me a very small contact patch which can be seen here, and you can see that the raised area is the only part of the car this is touched. If I used the flat side as I slice along, that's going to dig, and it has actually put a tiny mark there. I can use a file, I can use this file, but what happens is when I use the file, as it rocks over the surface, it's slicing down the tops. So far, it's just started to slice 1, 2, 3, 4 in one go. But if you ever tip this at all, you're going to dig in, and then you're going to damage the paint. And of course, you can only use that on a dead flat surface. So what I'm going to do is switch back to my preferred de-nibbing tool. Now that's taken more clear coat off, and the touching area is getting wider. Try and do it one-handed so you might be able to focus on it easier. So as I said, this is going to be a very, very long, boring process. Technically, if one of these works, every single one of these would work. That means I could do this entire panel. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, watching me, get the sandpaper out. The problem is, with sandpaper and blocks, they flex too much, even a hard block. So what you'll find is it'll follow in and out the waves. What I want to do is slice just the tops off. I will use sandpaper later. Cue the phone. It can be B-roll now. I can't get Ice Age out of my head.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ice Age 2.
What?
Waka, 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 waka.
Waka, 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 waka. Stop. Right guys, I've sliced down using a de-nibbing tool all the high spots of the clear coat touchings that I touched in a few days ago. So now that they're either level or just proud, the next process is to slightly sand those areas down. I'm going to get a matte uniform finish, then we'll polish it back. Ain't bad, is it? Not bad.
Sanding is finished. Quick recap, 1500 grit, 2000 grit and 3000 grit. I'm now going to start polishing. I'm going to use the UDOS 51E. I've got it in P2 mode, which is 15mm random oil. I'm going to use a heavy cut compound with a UDOS micro wall pad. I'm actually going to polish and do an inspection. So I'm going to do one pass, stop, wipe down and check. So let's get to it. So I've done my one complete set, one pass. I've gone over it many times, up and down, side to side. It's the first reveal. Let's see what we've got. So I can see slightly leftover sanding marks. I'm going to do another pass. Polishing's done, expected results you've seen for yourselves. Very unorthodox method that in this case has worked. Now, of course, I'm not going to go and try and do this entire panel by hand like this, because this has taken hours and hours. Probably it's a couple of days work to try and do this. It's going to be much quicker to take this panel off and take it to the spray booth and repaint this panel. But if you had a few of these defects, and these defects don't have to be bug etching, it could be bird poo, could be a stone chip, could be resin, tree resin that's etched in, it could have a chemical burn, could even be some sort of, I'm going to call it concrete, cement burn, alkaline burn, acidic burn. If it's a small little defect or even a scratch, you could touch this in the manner you've just seen, slice it down, then sand it and polish it to achieve these results. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this really unusual demonstration. To learn more about touching in, de-nibbing, slicing down clear coat, why don't you click on the link below, which is an hour-long guide on another vehicle I've done in the past. Don't forget to let me know what you think in the comments down below. We do read them, we do reply. I'm Kelly Harris, and as always, thank you for watching and goodbye.